After over a decade of playing one of television's most iconic father figures, Tom Selleck is finally walking away. But it's not the flashy Hollywood exit you might expect. There were no grand announcements, no dramatic send-off filled with fanfare, just a quiet decision that stunned even his most loyal fans. Behind the scenes, the story is far more emotional than anyone realized. Because for Tom Selleck, this isn't just the end of a show. It's the end of an era, a career built on sacrifice, loyalty, and choices that most actors today would never dare make. So why now? Why leave behind the role he loved, when he still had more to give? What really pushed him to say goodbye? The answer isn't just professional, it's deeply personal, and it reveals a side of Tom Selleck the cameras rarely captured. Before he ever wore the NYPD badge as Frank Reagan, Tom Selleck was already a household name. His rise to fame began in the 1980s with Magnum P.I., where he became the embodiment of charm and grit, sporting a Hawaiian shirt, a legendary mustache, and a cool Ferrari to match. But what most people don't know is that his journey to that role was anything but easy. He filmed 6 different TV pilots before Magnum P.I. finally gave him a real shot. And just as his career was taking off, Hollywood dangled even bigger opportunities in front of him, like Indiana Jones. George Lucas wanted him. The script was ready, but Selleck turned it down out of loyalty to his Magnum P.I. contract, even when people told him to fake an injury to get out of it. He refused. "I've got to be able to look my parents in the eye," he said. That same integrity followed him years later into Blue Bloods, where he once again anchored a show, not just with his acting, but with a sense of honor that's become increasingly rare in the industry. From private investigator to police commissioner, Selleck's career has been a masterclass in consistency, commitment, and quiet strength. Playing Frank Reagan on Blue Bloods might have looked effortless, but behind the scenes, the toll was building. For over 13 years and nearly 300 episodes, Tom Selleck held the weight of an entire franchise on his shoulders. That kind of longevity is almost unheard of in television, especially at his age. But he never phoned it in. Every scene, every dinner table debate, every moment of quiet intensity, he gave it everything. Still, the signs of strain were there. The role demanded more than just memorizing lines. It required long shoots in New York, time away from his family, and a constant physical and emotional presence. And as the years went on, fans began to notice his slower walk, his heavier step, subtle reminders that the man carrying the show was also carrying his age. He once admitted the work had become harder, not because he lost the passion, but because his body was finally catching up to the miles. But quitting wasn't in his DNA. He kept going, even when the grind wore him down. Until it became clear, something had to give. For more than a decade, Tom Selleck chose duty over comfort. While other stars chased streaming deals and short-term gigs, he stayed loyal to one role, one cast, and one story. But that kind of loyalty came at a cost. While Blue Bloods filmed on the East Coast, his real life was back in California, on a sprawling 65-acre avocado ranch where his wife Jilly and daughter Hannah spent most of their time. He missed birthdays, holidays, milestones, and he rarely spoke about it publicly, but those close to him knew. He was constantly torn between the set and the soil. His wife once said she worried about how much of himself he was giving away. And though he loved the work, there's only so long you can keep giving without something breaking. There were whispers behind the scenes, unconfirmed but persistent, that the exhaustion was starting to show, not just physically, but emotionally. After all, he'd given everything to the job. The fans, the show, everyone but himself. And as the seasons wore on, the quiet pull of home grew stronger. Because sometimes, even legends need to rest. In the end, it wasn't burnout or controversy that pulled Tom Selleck away. It was something far more personal. After decades of grinding through Hollywood's relentless pace, he's finally choosing peace. Insiders close to the actor say the real reason for his departure is simple. He wants to be home. Not in a mansion or on red carpets, but on his quiet ranch in California, with the woman he's loved for nearly 40 years and the daughter whose life he's barely had time to watch unfold. His daughter Hannah, now a successful equestrian, has always been one of his quietest sources of pride. And his wife Jilly, who stood by him through career highs and lows, deserves more than brief visits between seasons. For Tom, happiness isn't about fame, it's about routine. Fixing roads on the ranch, clearing brush, tending to the land. He once joked that sweating outside beats any gym workout. But that wasn't just humor. It was honesty. After years of chasing scripts and scenes, he's finally chasing stillness. And this time, he's not running from something. He's walking toward what matters most. When CBS announced that Blue Bloods would be ending after 14 seasons, it caught even the most devoted fans off guard. But what shocked people even more was that Tom Selleck didn't seem ready to let go. He didn't fight the decision publicly, but behind his calm statement was a quiet frustration. In interviews, he made it clear. He believed the show still had stories left to tell. The viewership numbers were strong, the fanbase loyal, and the family dinner scenes were still some of the most talked about moments on television. He took pride in playing a strong, morally grounded father figure, a rarity on modern TV, and he wasn't ready to walk away from that. In most commercials, "Dads are idiots," he once said. "I wanted to show something different." So while the show's final season was framed as a graceful farewell, it wasn't entirely on his terms. To Tom, it felt more like being forced to close a chapter he still believed had a few pages left. But even in disappointment, he handled it with the same quiet dignity he brought to every role. Because that's who he is, on screen and off. The headlines were quick to call it retirement, but Tom Selleck never used that word. Not officially. And not convincingly. Sure, he's stepping away from Blue Bloods, but if you listen closely to his interviews, there's hesitation in every farewell. He's not closing the door, he's cracking it, just enough to leave room for something more. His upcoming memoir, You Never Know, isn't just a collection of stories. It's a window into a man still reflecting, still planning, still open to what's next. In it, he hints at unfinished business, personal battles he's never discussed publicly, and friendships that shaped him behind the scenes. Fans are already speculating this goodbye might not be permanent. Maybe it's a pause. Maybe he's waiting for the right role, or the right time. After all, he's never chased trends. He's always chosen his moments carefully. And while the cameras might stop rolling for now, Tom Selleck has never been one to disappear quietly. If there's one thing we've learned from his career, it's that you can never count him out completely. If this really is Tom Selleck's final chapter, it's not one written in bright lights or scripted applause. It's something far quieter and far more meaningful. Sources close to the actor say he's already spending more time at his Ventura County ranch, tending to the land that grounds him. He's fixing fences, riding tractors, and doing the kind of hard, simple work that reminds him of who he is outside the spotlight. Friends say he lights up when talking about his wife Jilly or watching his daughter Hannah compete with her horses. And more than anything, he's focused on preserving the values that carried him through 5 decades of show business: dignity, respect, and humility. He's not looking for a comeback or chasing relevance. He's choosing peace. And with the release of his memoir, fans will finally get to hear his story in his own words: unfiltered, unpolished, and deeply human. It's not just a look back at his career, but a glimpse into the man behind the mustache. And maybe that's the legacy he wants to leave behind, not just as an actor, but as a man who knew when to step away with grace. Tom Selleck's goodbye isn't a fall from fame, it's a conscious, heartfelt decision to walk away on his own terms. After decades of defining what it means to be a leading man, he's chosen something more meaningful than another role or another season. He's chosen home. And in doing so, he's reminded us all that success isn't just about staying relevant, it's about staying true to yourself. From turning down Indiana Jones to honoring every contract, to portraying one of the few dignified father figures left on television, Selleck's career has been a rare mix of loyalty, legacy, and quiet strength. He never needed to chase headlines to stay legendary. And now, by stepping into a life of peace and simplicity, he's made one final, powerful statement: that sometimes, the most heroic thing a man can do is let go. And if this truly is the end, then Tom Selleck didn't just leave a show. He left a mark.